Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My husband mocked me at his promotion party. She is just a trophy for my poor phase. Everyone laughed. The next morning, his new boss arrived in a Rolls-Royce with me in the back seat. I watched him smirk, completely unaware of the surprise awaiting him. He had no idea who really controlled everything. I froze outside Leonard Manning's home office door, my knuckles lifted to knock, when I heard him on the phone. The party tonight is perfect timing. I will make it clear that I have outgrown this phase of my life, including my wife. Time to upgrade to someone who matches my success. My coffee cup slipped from my hand and shattered on the hardwood floor I had polished that morning. The puddle spread, a brown ellipse that reflected the window's afternoon light, and my understanding of our marriage cracked with the porcelain. Leonard's voice rolled on, confident and cool. Trust me, Calvin, tonight's announcement will set the stage perfectly. I have already chosen the navy dress for her to wear. Makes her look appropriately grateful but not attention-seeking. By the time I finish my speech, everyone will understand that successful men sometimes need to make difficult choices about their personal lives. Calvin Webb, the firm's chief financial officer, was on the other end. This was no moment of temper. Leonard had planned the spectacle with the same meticulous attention he brought to quarterly reports. The navy dress hanging upstairs was not chosen to make me beautiful. It was my execution outfit. I backed away, stepping around the shards. The hallway, lined with photographs from 7 years, our wedding, anniversaries, family dinners, suddenly looked like evidence, not memories. In each frame I was candid, open, in love with the man now discussing my disposal. The morning had begun with my careful rituals. Daisies from our garden in a vase, his favorite mug beside the business section, breakfast laid out for his important day at Morrison and Associates. He had floated through the kitchen, radiant about becoming regional director. I had matched his joy and planned a celebration worthy of the milestone. I had spent 3 days polishing our wedding china, mapping a menu that balanced sophistication with warmth, and calling each guest personally. Every surface gleamed. Every candle stood ready. Without knowing it, I had choreographed the theater for my public humiliation. The key is making it seem natural, Leonard said through the door. Like a revelation. Cheryl will be standing where everyone can see her reaction. The visual will be perfect. The devoted wife realizing she has been replaced by her husband's evolved expectations. My hand covered my mouth. He had positioned me, written me, rehearsed me. He had even placed the podium exactly where I had suggested for a clear sight line. That podium would not elevate him alone. It would reduce me. I cleaned the coffee with automatic precision. The floor shone again, but my trust was a stain that would not lift. I returned the supplies to their places and set the kitchen in order. But the woman who had woken in our comfortable suburban home no longer existed. Guests arrived at 6 o'clock sharp. I moved through the foyer with a smile that felt carved from stone. "You must be so proud," gushed Patricia Blackwell, squeezing my arm with bright, practiced warmth. "Leonard's promotion is wonderful for both of you." Leonard emerged from his office, phone tucked away, in a charcoal suit, and that wink I had once mistaken for private intimacy. Now I saw it for what it was, the executioner's signal to the condemned. Calvin Webb came late, all silver hair and knowing nods, and took a place beside Leonard at the fireplace. Their lowered voices and glances toward me were a silent script. "Everything set?" Calvin murmured. Leonard tipped his chin toward the podium by our baby grand. She chose the spot herself. Yvonne Winters drifted over. "You have outdone yourself, Cheryl," she said, eyes flicking to my navy dress. Though navy is somber for a celebration. The faint smirk told me she knew exactly why Leonard had chosen it. At 8 o'clock, Leonard's knife tapped his champagne glass. The room hushed. "Friends, colleagues, neighbors," he began, voice strong and warm. "Thank you for joining Cheryl and me to celebrate this milestone." I stood near the kitchen doorway, the spot I always used for refills and quick escapes. His eyes found me like a laser. 7 years ago, I was nobody, he said. A struggling salesman with big dreams and no connections. I made questionable choices during that desperate period, including marrying a woman who represented that phase of my life. My poor phase, if you will. Laughter crashed over me. People I had welcomed into our home clapped hands over mouths, shaking with amusement. Yvonne squeezed my arm as if to steady me, her eyes bright with delighted shock. Leonard, emboldened, continued. Now that I have achieved the success I always envisioned, perhaps it is time to consider what a man in my position really needs. A partner who matches my achievements. The crystal glass slid from my fingers and exploded on the floor. I barely noticed the champagne pooling around my heels. He shook hands as if he had accomplished something brave. I reached the powder room and locked the door. Under cold, unforgiving light, I wept until I had nothing left. When I emerged, I pressed on with a hostess's duties the way a soldier carries an order. By 10, the house emptied. Leonard hummed while straightening his tie. "Great party," he said. "I think everyone understood the message about moving forward." "How could you humiliate me like that?" I asked. "Humiliate you?" he said, amazed. "I was honest about my growth. Successful people make difficult choices." He gestured at our carefully curated living room. "Look at what I have built. Now look at the wives of the men I work with. Really look." He named degrees and businesses. He never asked what I had left behind for us. "I have supported every goal you ever had," I said. "I organized your life, managed our home, entertained your colleagues, and never complained." "And I am grateful," he said, with the patronizing tone of a superior to a helpful assistant. "But gratitude does not mean we are equals. You helped me through the struggling phase. Now I need something different." He went upstairs. The house fell silent in a way that made breath feel heavy. I removed my makeup like peeling off a mask, and a stranger stared back, someone on the edge of understanding. I called my sister, Emma, in Los Angeles. "He called our marriage his poor phase in front of everyone," I said. She listened, then spoke with the clarity that had driven her through law school. "You have a choice. Let this destroy you, or use it as fuel. If you choose the second, be prepared for war." 3 weeks later, war came to him. At our kitchen island, barefoot in pajamas, Leonard took a Tuesday call and went pale. Restructuring. Economic realities. Right-sizing. His title evaporated in one conversation. He hung up and stared at me. "This is your fault," he said softly. "Your performance at the party. The way you embarrassed me." The months that followed were psychological warfare. He sent resumes into a void by day and cataloged my inadequacies by night. I stayed silent and shrank to fit his version of me, until one afternoon I found a small box. At the back of my closet, inside lay proof of a life before Leonard's ambitions consumed mine. Photographs from college, certificates, a business card from my former roommate, Donna Richardson, now principal partner of Richardson and Associates. Leonard slammed doors downstairs, back from another useless networking event. I slipped Donna's card into my jewelry box like contraband. My heart pounded. 2 weeks later, while Leonard dressed for yet another breakfast with no return, I dialed the number. "Donna Richardson, please. This is Cheryl Manning from college." She remembered me at once. The warmth in her voice nearly undid me. "Tell me everything," she said. And I did: Leonard's party, the firing, the relentless blame. "We are hiring," she said at last. "Strategic communications, relationship management, project coordination. You have the background. But we must be careful. Leonard can never know you are involved in arranging anything. You will lose leverage." The word leverage lit a fuse. "What are you suggesting?" "Lunch tomorrow," she said. "The Meridian Grill at noon." In a sunlit dining room high above the city, Donna outlined a plan. Her firm would recruit Leonard for a role perfectly tailored to his experience. He would believe it was fate. "Meanwhile," she said, "you will rebuild. Quietly. When the moment comes, you will not be an accessory. You will be a force." The call from Richardson and Associates came exactly when Donna predicted. Leonard lit up. "Regional account manager," he said, pacing. "It sounds like an ideal fit." He interviewed on Thursday, flush with excitement, and by Tuesday he accepted an offer that exceeded his previous salary by a significant margin. He took me to dinner at the Italian restaurant where we had once celebrated our beginnings and toasted new opportunities. He thrived in the new role. He admired Donna's command of meetings, her results-first focus. Soon he began speaking, with increasing enthusiasm, about a junior associate on his team, Ariel Reed, whose fresh ideas impressed him. The holiday party in December was held at an upscale downtown hotel. I wore a black cocktail dress and watched him orbit Ariel with the same performative admiration that had once dazzled me. He came home later wearing perfume that was not mine. Something in me hardened into steel. I called Donna the next morning. "I need to know everything about Ariel Reed." 28. Donna said over lunch at the West Shore Country Club. MBA from Northwestern. Organizational psychology and strategic communications. Brilliant at analysis. Naive about office politics. She sees Leonard's attention as mentorship. What does she know about me? Very little. Leonard rarely mentions his personal life beyond complaining about domestic obligations. She likely sees you as a typical corporate wife. We shifted to his vulnerabilities. Leonard manages 3 major accounts, Donna said. 40% of department revenue. The Henderson Group alone brings in $2 million annually. Those relationships depend on absolute trust and clean judgment. Any questions about personal integrity ripple outward. The blueprint formed. Build my professional credibility in the open while he dismissed me in private. Let his arrogance blind him until the moment of undeniable reversal. On a Monday morning, I walked into Richardson and Associates in a charcoal blazer. Donna greeted me like a valued colleague, and we took a conference room with glass walls that faced Leonard's office. He had not seen me yet. Donna introduced me to senior partners, Calvin Webb and Patricia Sullivan's counterpart in business development, Janet Rivers, speaking with the authority of someone adding a crucial asset to the firm. Through the glass, Leonard looked up. Recognition flickered to panic. He stepped into the doorway. "Cheryl, what are you doing here?" "Donna and I are discussing potential collaboration," I said. "Strategic communications initiatives." Calvin looked at Leonard. "I am impressed by Cheryl's background," he said, purposeful and cool. "You never mentioned your wife's experience in organizational communications." Leonard's mouth opened and closed. "Cheryl has always been supportive," he said weakly. "Support is valuable," Janet replied. "Active collaboration is better." 2 weeks later, Donna called with the final piece. "Our quarterly meeting is coming up. Present on strategic market positioning. It is exactly the visibility you need." I prepared for days, researching industry trends, mapping frameworks, weaving theory with practice. The morning of the meeting, I put on a navy suit that fit like resolve. Donna introduced me with crisp authority. I spoke without hesitation, and heads lifted. Questions came from senior partners, and my answers landed cleanly. When I named former classmates who now held senior roles at major companies, pens paused mid-stroke. Leonard sat in the back, watchful and stricken as the room shifted. At the end, Donna made the announcement that completed the inversion. "We are bringing Cheryl on as a special consultant for client relationship management," she said. "She will lead our junior team on strategic communication frameworks. Ariel, you will report to her." Ariel blinked, surprised but professional. Leonard blanched. The woman he had held up as a model to replace me had just become my subordinate. After the session, Calvin crossed to Leonard. "I remain puzzled," he said. "We have spoken often about expanding our capabilities. Why did you never mention Cheryl's expertise?" Leonard had no answer that did not expose his contempt. Ariel asked to meet with me privately a week later. "I need to be honest," she said carefully. "Leonard has suggested we develop a personal relationship beyond work. I initially believed it was mentorship. It has become clear it is not. I appreciate your candor," I said. "Let us keep your work protected and excellent." She did, and as her boundaries solidified, Leonard's confidence cracked. Autumn tipped into winter. The work lit my mind like a city at night. I slept again. I ate again. I laughed with Donna in conference rooms and with Emma on the phone. At home, Leonard adjusted to a household with new gravity. He questioned my legitimacy, then he watched results make the argument for me. He began to understand that my approval was no longer the axis of my day. He tried to reassert control with criticism at breakfast, but professional composure blunted his tactics. He could not argue me back into invisibility. One afternoon, Donna called with an invitation that would become legend in our house. "I am swinging by for a site visit with Calvin," she said. "We will pick you up." A few minutes later, a Rolls-Royce purred into our driveway. I slid into the back beside Donna. The car idled while Leonard, home early, stepped onto the porch with that old smirk he wore for the neighbors. He did not yet see me. The driver opened our door. Donna stepped out first. I followed. Leonard's smirk curdled into confusion, then shock. Calvin emerged from the front seat, nodded to Leonard, and said evenly, "We need Cheryl for a client session." Leonard's gaze snapped between faces like a man searching for the ground. For the first time since the night he broke our marriage for laughs, he was the one standing in the doorway, watching a narrative he had not authored unfold without him. That evening, he cut his salmon into neat shapes and never lifted a bite. "How long have you known Donna?" he asked finally. Since college, I said. We were roommates for 2 years. He stared, calculating how many years I had possessed connections and skills he had never bothered to discover. You never mentioned she owned a consulting firm. You never asked, I said. You assumed I had nothing to mention. He tried a different tack over the next few days, calling my role charity, my colleagues social climbers. His arguments rang hollow in rooms where my work spoke for itself. Ariel thrived under clear boundaries and real mentorship. She learned to separate admiration from obligation. Watching her, I saw the version of myself I had smothered to keep Leonard comfortable, and I refused to bury her again. In time, Leonard stopped trying to narrate my limits. He remained in the marriage, chastened and quieter, and we began negotiating terms that resembled respect rather than dominance. It was not a storybook reconciliation. It was a restructuring, the only kind worth attempting. The balance of power between us had shifted irrevocably. The woman who once stood in a navy dress while her husband turned her into a punchline now stood at the front of boardrooms, answering questions that mattered. I still brewed morning coffee with care, but the ritual no longer proved devotion. It marked choice. I did not win by destroying him. I won by resurrecting the parts of myself he had taught me to discard: intelligence, ambition, voice. The silent betrayal that nearly broke me became the blueprint for my restoration. And when the Rolls-Royce door opened and my husband finally saw who sat inside, he understood what I had known since the first shard hit the floor. I was never the accessory. I was the asset. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.